This is Mark Zuma, former voice of the Philadelphia 76ers, here to welcome you to the Sixers Standard. And now here are your hosts, Ethan Koppelman and Noah Movsowitz.
How is everybody doing? And welcome back to the third episode of the Sixers Standard Podcast. We got Danny here with us today. Danny, how you doing?
I'm doing great, boys. Appreciate you having me on. I've loved the first couple episodes. Great to be on with you, boys. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, and we appreciate that you're here with us today. You know, Danny, obviously very knowledgeable about the NBA, and we're glad to have you on. He's been one of our biggest supporters through our first episode.
He's been commenting every week on videos, and we've been responding. So whatever takes you have, just comment. We'll respond.
For sure.
Yeah.
Love the interaction on the podcast. And Danny, obviously a big Cowboys fan, but we're not going to touch on that today. We're gonna leave that.
We got a couple more weeks for that, man. We got a couple more weeks for that, and then it's coming, baby.
Okay.
Just try and look at the shirt. Enjoy the shirt.
Yeah. I know you appreciate that, don't you?
I do. I like the Philly shirt.
So anyway, I guess we do have some Sixers news today, but I think what we'll start with today is, since we have a special guest on, Danny, I just want to hear your thoughts about the Sixers in general, any takes you have about them, just kind of like your opinion on where they stand in general.
Yeah, how the Sixers.
I'll give you the floor.
All right. Well, honestly, you're probably not going to like this. I think the 76ers, I don't want to use this comparison, but it's kind of like, I don't want to use this comparison, but it's kind of like my Dallas Cowboys. A talented roster. Got Joel Embiid, James Harden, Maxey, all those other boys, Tobias Harris, but you just never seem to get over the hump in the playoffs. And honestly, when all things considered, when every team is healthy, I don't really consider Philadelphia an elite team in the East. When you got Milwaukee with Giannis and Middleton and Holiday, you got Boston, which obviously made the finals last year, and that core doesn't seem to be going away unless they get Kevin Durant, and then everything changes. Even the Miami Heat with all their defense and Jimmy Butler and all those boys. We know you guys have all the talent on your roster, but we just don't really know what your peak is, honestly, the 76ers peak, because it just seems to be playoff disappointment after playoff disappointment. You had Ben Simmons in the Atlanta series last year. Y'all got swept by Boston. So I really don't know what Philadelphia's future is, honestly. I think you're going to be competitive, but are you ever going to get over the playoff hump, which is making the conference finals? That's where I kind of see you guys. A great regular season team. Probably can win a round or even two rounds, but when it's conference finals, you just aren't anywhere to be seen at this time. That's presently constructed.
Yeah,
I'll let you react to that.
Personally, I agree with that. Like, I don't see us going to the conference finals. We always lose in the second round, and it's always destined we will always never make the conference finals. It's also destined that Joel Embiid will always get injured some way and somehow. And yeah, that's all I got to say, man. And I agree. What you said, I like the take.
I'm honestly shocked you said that. No, I think this is a way different team. I think Maxey's getting better every year. I think that Harden might.
Well, here's the thing, Ethan. We lost to Jimmy Butler, the guy who we didn't re-sign, the guy we chose Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons, and Brett Brown over. So that's the guy who just beat us.
Yeah, but you know what? That's in the past. We don't got to worry about that. That's already
happened.
We
do. We got to worry. We got to worry about that, though.
We just got to worry about what's in front of us right now. Tyrese Maxey's getting better every year. James Harden. I don't know if he's going to be back to what he once was, but he's going to be better than he was in the playoffs.
Not Houston Harden.
I disagree with you guys. I'm honestly shocked you said that. No, I mean,
it's always destined. Like, we haven't made a conference final since 2001. So
yeah, we're due.
I don't know what to say. Like,
but one thing before we move on, because I do think we should, but I do think it's interesting, Danny. And Noah, how do you feel about this? That not only did he throw the Sixers under the bus, he threw his Cowboys under the bus with the Sixers. Do you like that? Do you think that's good?
I'll say this. Well, you know what, Ethan? I like that because honestly, they deserve to be thrown under the bus, the Sixers, because all the pain that I've been through since 2018, and when Jimmy Butler left, and then we got swept by Boston in the bubble, and then Ben Simmons passes up an open layup, and we just get destroyed by our former player, who we chose Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, and Brett Brown over. We should be thrown under the bus. And Cowboys, 100% they should be thrown under the bus. But anyways.
I didn't know you were that upset about losing Jimmy Butler. Honestly, I thought
Ethan wasn't. He wanted Tobias Harris over him. He wanted Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler. Yeah.
I like Butler.
did.
I'm sad he's
You
not
did.
here. Noah might be the biggest Tobias Harris hater that exists in the world. I am a Tobias Harris appreciator. I think he's a
Hey, don't
solid
tell
player.
that to Bobby. Don't tell Bobby that.
Well,
That's his
Bobby ain't on the Sixers anymore. He's in Houston. He's on a winless team.
You mean Dallas?
No, he's on Houston. He got traded.
I got
Christian
traded.
Oh, yeah,
Wood.
you're right. You're right. Okay. Anyway, let's move on. We're going to start today. I guess really, I guess this was the start. So we're going to move on today with recurring segment, the negative Sixers story of the week. Drum roll, please. The negative Sixers story of the week is that Ben Simmons is still getting paid money by the Sixers. Yes, you heard that right. So this week on Negative Sixers Story of the Week, there was a lawsuit between Ben Simmons and the Sixers. It did not go to court, and it was settled outside of court. And we do not know how much money Ben Simmons made, but he made some of his $20 million. Noah and Danny, your reactions to this?
All right. So my initial reactions, like, why this have to? Why? Just like, why this happen? I'm so pissed out. He chose to sit down. We didn't, like, if he sits out, that gives us a right. We don't have to pay him because he's not playing. Like, I'm just, like, come on. I'm just pissed. And I'm even more pissed that we chose him over Jimmy Butler, and we could have gotten rid of him in 2019. We could trade him for actually a good player because he had trade value back then. And now we have to just pay $20 million just for him. That's unacceptable, in my opinion.
But before I get Danny's thoughts on this, I do want to point out that Jimmy Butler has been mentioned like 6 times in this episode.
I
It's
know.
all been you.
Well, you know what? We could have went to the NBA Finals by 2019.
Just to make
The
an
next year,
observation.
just the next year we could have won. Because you know what? He led that Heat team to the NBA Finals. So, just saying.
He almost led him to the finals this year.
Well, in the bubble,
had he made that shot.
The team in the bubble, he went to the finals basically with nobodies. That's just
The
the way
bubble
to
had
put
a
it.
lot of different circumstances there.
That is true. But anyway, Danny, what are your thoughts on Simmons getting some money from the Sixers? You don't know how much, but he's getting money.
I think it's weird because we kind of go back to how this whole started. This was after the Atlanta series a couple years ago when Ben Simmons, shot like 34% from the free throw line, I think it was. They said he didn't tip a single shot in the fourth quarter of 5 of the 7 games. And so he loses to Atlanta. Everyone's upset in Philadelphia, and it's training camp time, and Ben Simmons doesn't show up because he has these like mental health problems.
Back
So I don't know what his back issues, whatever.
Yeah.
Lame excuse.
Both.
I don't really
Pretty much
know
both.
what. So you got a guy who did not produce for you when you needed it. Again, a guy who did not shoot a single fourth quarter shot in 5 of the 7 games, maybe because he couldn't make a free throw and Doc didn't want him in there. And now all of a sudden, you trade him to Brooklyn, you appease him in Brooklyn, you send him to a team that can compete with KD and Kyrie and Harden, even though that didn't work out too well. And now you're just going to give him money. I agree with Noah. It doesn't really make sense. You're just kind of letting Ben Simmons win when really he hadn't really done much for your organization. It's a guy who probably, when he comes back to Philadelphia this year as a member of the Nets, you're probably going to boo him, and very loudly, because he has not really done a lot for your organization, and yet you
Might
just
do a
give him
little
money.
bit more than booing. Maybe a little bit more than booing.
Just do a little
Some
Russell
more
Westbrook
increased
and dump some
security.
popcorn.
Yeah. It might be as bad as LeBron returning to Cleveland in 2010. It might be that bad. Who knows?
Well, LeBron actually followed through. Well, it's true. Later, 2010, you're right. But that's before he won a championship.
When he went to Miami.
I think what the kicker here is that we know like the thing that's already been established is right. Why are we paying him? He didn't play for us that season. There's no reason to pay him. But the kicker for me is the fact that the Sixers owners, or at least it appeared to be, are such pussies that they did not want to show up in court because they have all the evidence they need, right? They have all the evidence to just say, you didn't play for us. You don't deserve any money. We're not giving you any money, right? But they were such pussies that they couldn't go to court, make it a case, and just settle. And they had to settle instead. I think that's the big story here. I just don't get why they couldn't have gone to court and, put this on trial, because I think he would have been wrecked, truly.
He probably would have. But I don't know why they didn't go to court, but I feel like they just wanted to keep it mutual with him. They didn't want to get all this drama and all that. They just wanted to just fine.
Well,
They
here's the
really-
other thing. Here's the other thing. Like 500,000, $1 million, whatever he's being paid. It could be 15 million. It could be like 200,000. Whatever it is, it sets a bad precedent because if they didn't pay him, it sets the precedent that you cannot do this. Now that he got paid, it sets the precedent that as an NBA player, you can do this. And this might happen more in the future. And I think that like, Josh Harris losing $200,000, that's like a normal person like buying a chips at like a Wawa, right? Like that's nothing. $200,000 to him. But the thing that matters is that it's going to set a precedent later, and this is going to happen more often, or at least
already
players will be
happening.
empowered for it to happen more
It's
often.
already happening. It's Durant. It's already happening. He's saying that he's going to sit out training camp. He's not going to get paid. No, it's going to be the Ben Simmons 2.0 drama.
Well, we'll see what happens with that. That's going to be interesting because there hasn't been too many developments with that, but there's going to have to be because training camp starts soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then the NBA season coming up in October.
So let's move on to our next topic. So we're going to touch on the schedule briefly. And Danny, I'm not sure if you had a chance to look over the Sixers schedule. It's totally okay if you didn't. But what we're going to do actually, Noah and I throughout the season, every week we're going to look at the matchups and I'm going to assign a point value to each team. The favorite will be given 1 point if you guess them correctly. And the team that's not the favorite will be given a certain higher value based on how non-favored they are in that game. And we're going to add up the points at the end of the season to see who wins the kind of matchup game, the pick 'em. So we're not going to fully go into the whole schedule today, but Noah, Danny, just your overall thoughts on the schedule, because to me, when I saw the schedule, it looked hard throughout the whole season, and especially at the end, but there's a lot of hard games in there from what I've seen at least.
All right, that's why I thought initially opening week is going to be not easy. I'm telling you, reversing Boston, Milwaukee, like those are just two hard teams, and we're away against Boston, but luckily we're home against Milwaukee, and they're both on national television. They're both nationally televised. So those are going to be two really hard games, and if we're 0-2, that's not going to be a good start for us. And then towards the middle, it seems fine, but towards the end of the schedule, it gets pretty hard. Like during March, it's going to get hard. Like the end of March, but the middle seems fine, doable. That's what I thought.
Danny?
Yeah, I've not had a chance to dive the 76ers schedule, honestly, but going off past experience, you guys are going to probably be able to beat some of the teams that are formidable, the Milwaukees, the Bostons, and the Brooklyns of the world, or the Milwaukee, Brooklyn, Boston, all those other teams.
I don't know about
Just
Brooklyn.
gotta win
I don't
them.
know how good they're going to be.
Well, they might not even be playing Durant.
Right.
Who knows?
They may not be the same. Obviously, is it a coincidence that they start Philadelphia with Boston and Milwaukee right off the gate? Then you got a couple games against the Raptors, some other teams like that. Obviously, Philadelphia is going to be in the national spotlight a lot. I think you guys have a chance to win some of the games. Just can't let the easy ones get away.
Yeah.
Beat the
We have
teams you're
23
supposed to.
national televised games. 23 national televised games this season for us. So that's going to be, we're going to be in the spotlight a lot, and then this actually could help Embiid a lot as well for him playing very well in these national television games and boosting his value to win MVP. That'll help him a lot, I think.
I mean, at
You're going
this
to see
point,
some great performance.
I've kind of thrown that out the garbage, the Embiid MVP thing. Like 2 years in a row, it should have happened. It hasn't happened. Like, you know what? We care about winning. That's what we want.
Well,
if
you
we
know
win a
what? We haven't
championship,
won in a
Embiid
year.
doesn't win MVP. No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, that's
haven't
what
won
I
in a
care
year.
about now. That's what I care about.
All right, okay.
So, at this
we
point,
haven't
it's
won
kind of
in a
just
year.
like, I've been disappointed too much by that. I've been disappointed by the losing thing. Let's win this season. Let's put it
All
at
right,
that.
let's try. But I think I think our schedule's good. What do you think, Ethan and Danny?
I think it's hard. Like, I'm just looking at this right now, and I've looked at it before. The amount of bunnies, the amount of easy games you have, it seems like it's less. I see a lot of games against maybe not even the top of the top, and there are a lot of games with top of the top, but a lot of games with like okay teams. You know what I'm saying?
We play all 30 teams, so
I know, but like I'm
course it's
like
gonna be easy games.
more. I'm saying like more quantity, like with the Hawks and the Cavs and teams like that.
the Hawks suck. First of all, the Cavs are good.
I don't know about that.
I thought you're a big DeJounte Murray fan, Noah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. just not the other short guy who thinks he got clamped by Miami. Shout out to
I love Trae Young. That man can pass.
shout
all
out to
day.
Miami's defense.
Best passer in
shout
the
out,
league.
Shout out to Miami's defense. Clamped him.
How about these last 5 games to end the season? At Milwaukee, you got Boston, Miami, Atlanta, and Brooklyn. And that's not even coming off a road trip for West Coast when you got to play Golden State, Phoenix, and Denver. Y'all
the
gonna have
Bulls
a
try
rough
to
end
that's
to
not
the
gonna
season.
be. That's not gonna
Yeah.
be fun. That will not be a fun last and to end the season off.
Well, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun because they're going to be interesting games. But if we lose all of them, it's not going to be fun. That's
Yeah,
what's not
exactly.
gonna be
Hopefully, you
fun.
better clinch the playoff spot.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it won't be
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah,
There's gonna be head-to-head.
yeah. Hopefully we
implications in
can
those
clinch.
games.
Hopefully, got clinch.
So- I don't want to touch too much on the schedule because we're going to be doing this periodically throughout the season. So let's move on and let's do our buy or sell segment for today. So we were going to do buy or sell last week. We moved it to this week. Noah and I have some good ones. And so how it's going to work is Noah's going to give half of them. I'm going to give half of them. I believe I'm doing the Sixers stories this week. And Noah will be doing the national story this week. And Danny, you're going to react to both sides of them. So we're just going to get your take on pretty much all of them. You get to react to all of them. So Noah, you want to start or you think I should start?
I'll start.
You'll start.
So my first take on the national one, remember? So Kevin Durant will not be traded. He's just not going to be traded this season. He won't be traded.
This season.
Won't be traded.
I buy that. I don't really see KD going anywhere. You obviously had Josiah come out. KD started. I said, hey, you got to pick me or you got to pick Steve Nash. Josiah came out and said, I support Steve Nash. I don't see anything where Kevin Durant gets traded, honestly. Push comes to shove. Unless a team's going to give him like top 3 players and like 5 picks. It just doesn't make sense to me that Brooklyn's going to want to give up Kevin Durant, honestly. I don't see it happening.
All right, Ethan.
I'm going to sell. I think that we shouldn't underestimate the power that Kevin Durant has, especially since we can consider, and I don't like it this way, but the players have so much power in this league, especially the superstars, with basically a snap of the finger, they can go anywhere they want. Don't underestimate the power Kevin Durant has. I think there was a tweet saying that like he will blow anything and everything up that is in his way to get a trade. Of course, paraphrasing there. I think at some point this season he's going to get traded. I don't think that it really benefits the Nets long term for them to have him sitting down, or sitting at home and not really doing anything. Although I do think that would be cool because, they would kind of be sticking it to Durant. But
Yeah.
I think at some point he's going to get traded.
All
That's my view.
So he's just going to hold out? He's just
Yeah.
going to hold out?
Yeah, I think it's
We don't know. We don't know.
We have to wait.
Because imagine he plays like, 20 games and averages 30 points per game.
Yeah,
Brooklyn's not going to want to trade him. But like, hey, what if they're like in playoff contention? Kyrie's
Yeah.
still around. Ben Simmons, maybe he'll be pink. I think the more competitive the
Simmons.
Nets are this season,
Yeah.
the longer Durant stays, the less likelihood he's going to get traded.
Yeah,
At least I wouldn't give up a player giving me 30 points a game and giving me a chance to make the playoffs.
yeah,
But if
Yeah.
he's
Even
not
if I'm going to
playing,
get like a future. If he
Yeah.
holds out, it's a different story.
Yeah.
yeah. All right. So my next buy or sell, Luka Doncic will average 30 points this season and win MVP.
Ooh. We got 2 parts there. You got to average
Yeah.
30 points. I definitely buy that. But the fact he's going to win MVP, I feel like we always say Luka's going to win MVP the next 1 to 2 years. But obviously, Giannis is still around. You got Jokic. You got LeBron James might mess around and win an MVP before his playing
Yeah.
career is done.
Maybe.
I kind of give you a little 50-50. I buy he's going to average 30 points per game. I mean, he's pretty much the focal point of that Mavericks team now.
He averaged 35 points in the playoffs. This
Ridiculous
playoff.
numbers in the playoffs. He'll definitely average 30 points, but the fact he's going to win MVP, it's probably going to determine on the record.
Yeah.
Because you got Jokic around, you've got Giannis. It's going to depend on how good the Mavs can be, because they were a 5 seed last year, if I'm not mistaken. So can they improve better than a 5 seed? And it's kind of hard to do that because you're putting all the pressure on one player.
Yeah.
No,
Ethan.
you know how I feel about this. I'm going to sell. There's probably about like a 50-50 chance that Luka gets to 30 points. Look, 30 points is very hard to achieve in this league, and Luka's a very talented player, but sometimes you just can't get there. So that's probably about 50-50 first off. Second off, I don't think he's winning MVP. I just don't. I don't think he's a very dynamic player. I don't think he's fast. He doesn't really shoot the ball efficiently. He just kind of takes like high volume and is like kind of like I don't know. Like I don't really like Luka that much, especially like I think he's able to be stopped. That's what I think about Luka. I think that he's a very talented player. I don't think he's gonna win MVP. So I sell.
Of course, he's able to be stopped. He's the only guy on the offense because everybody can just put their attention to him. They can just put their best defender to him.
Yeah,
right.
Phoenix couldn't do that. Just saying.
I got played.
No, I'm not saying that everybody can stop him. I'm just saying he's stoppable. There's a big difference between every single person. I mean, every single person, for example, can stop me on the basketball court because I don't know what I'm doing, right? But like, that doesn't mean that like just because one person isn't able to stop him doesn't mean that there's other people that can't stop him, right? As a fundamental concept.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. So last one, the Los Angeles Lakers will make the playoffs this year.
I buy.
Oh boy. All right, go on.
All right, go Ethan. Go.
Because last season was a fluke. They have too much talent not to make it, and I don't like the Lakers. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think they're very good at it. I don't think they're good enough to make the finals. But the fact of the matter is there's 8 teams in each conference that are going to make the playoffs, and I think it would be pretty foolish to say that they're not going to be one of them, or at least predict that. So I buy.
All right, Danny, what about you?
I think I buy. We're talking 8 seed, right? 1 to 6, not play in, right?
Well, if you get to the play-in and get out of the play-in, then that counts as playoffs.
Okay, that they make the playoffs.
Yeah, playing the.
I think it's
1 through 8.
I think it's definitely possible. He's got all the talent, and apparently they're going to run the offense through AD this year, which is going to be very interesting. But obviously, if and when AD gets hurt, then it's going to go right back to LeBron James and Russell Westbrook. We know how efficient he is shooting the
Dynamic
ball.
duo.
I think it's possible. Yeah, I know. So they got a lot of talent, but can they make it? I think I buy it. I don't think there'll be a long stay. I mean, Noah came on here a couple weeks ago and was like, hey, the Portland Trailblazers are going to make the playoffs. So yeah. I think it's possible. I don't think it's going to be a long, we're not going to say, hey, Lakers are going to go all the way to finals. I think they can make the playoffs if they stay healthy, which is like the key to everything.
Yeah, that's the key of their whole team.
Anthony Davis, I haven't shot a ball in 3 months,
No, what he's shooting right now.
I don't know if you guys have seen that.
I think that was in April. I think he's gotten some time to shoot. All right, Ethan, your turn.
Okay, so these are the Sixers-related topics. I think these are pretty interesting. The first one, Woj will make, this is kind of like a prop bet, over or under 1.5 more reports about Kevin Durant specifically being linked to the Sixers. 1.5 over or under.
So this year, or what are we talking?
Let's say like before the first game of the regular season. So like I think it's like October. It's like October 18th. 1.5 before October 18th. What's that?
What is the fascination with KD to the Sixers? I mean,
he's a good player. That's why.
Yeah, he's a great player, but you guys came on here last week. You're like, well, Kevin Durant, in order to get him, you're going to probably have to give up maybe Tobias, Maxey, and at least like 4 or 5 picks. I don't know what's so special about this Philadelphia matchup. I think, honestly, if you want to see, I'm not answering your question. I know you guys went over under 1.5. But
yeah, 1.5. Come on.
I think, honestly, you're going to see more linkages to Boston. You're going to see more linkages to maybe Miami or Phoenix, some of those other teams. I don't see it under Philadelphia. I'm going under.
I'm also going to go under because I just don't think we have what it takes to get him. Like, look at Boston, look at New Orleans, look at Toronto. They could offer so much more than we can. And I know he wants to come here, and he also wants to go to Boston. Those are and also Phoenix and Miami, but no one's out yet, but it's more unlikely that they go. But yeah, I'm under.
Okay, let's go on to my second. The trio, okay, this is an interesting one, of Matisse Thybulle, Furkan Korkmaz, and Isaiah Joe will all be on the roster of the first day of the regular season. All 3 of them.
No. because there's so many. Because you also have to count who the Sixers bench is. You got Shake, you got D'Anthony Melton. We have so many we have Daniel House. Like I just don't see all room for three of them, maybe five all. But I can't see all three on the roster. No.
So which one? If you had to pick one that you think would be off the roster,
Off.
which one?
Isaiah Joe.
Okay.
But Matisse Thybulle more likely to make the roster than Furk and Joe.
So you think it's Isaiah Joe least likely, and then Furkan's second most likely, and then least likely Matisse.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Danny.
I have no idea who Mr. Isaiah is. I like his last name. I think he makes the roster. Obviously, we know Matisse is a defensive weapon, and Korkmaz is a pretty decent 3-point specialist.
Yes, sir. Love the cork.
Going off my knowledge of watching those last two play, I think they're all going to make the roster. I buy it. They're going to make the roster. And Isaiah, just because he has a great last name. So you're on the team, Isaiah.
Isaiah Joe has range. He don't disrespect Isaiah. Isaiah Joe shoots from way outside.
Shooters. Why wouldn't you want a shooter on your team?
Well, he's also like 165 pounds and isn't the best defender.
He's got to be on the team. He doesn't have to start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just saying it's kind of crowded. You know what I'm saying? So
kind of. Yeah.
So somebody might have to go. We don't know.
Yeah, and I think Joe's the most likely to go.
I wouldn't disagree there with you, Noah. I wouldn't disagree.
All right.
Last one. Buy or sell. PJ Tucker is the starting small forward in the Sixers' first regular season game. So it's basically Tucker, Thybulle, or someone else.
All right, buy. They're Thybulle can't shoot threes. Tucker's a good defender. He has veteran experience. He guards He guards the other team's best player. That's a buy.
I buy it. PJ Tucker is a dog. Saw him in Miami. We saw him in Milwaukee. Going to bring that great defensive veteran presence to Philadelphia. Nice little contrast to the size of Embiid and those other guys, the 4 or 5. A nice maxi corner specialist PJ Tucker is.
Yeah.
I buy it.
Yep.
Great pickup.
Yep. Like it.
Okay. Yeah, I don't disagree with you guys there either. I think that'll probably get the spot, but we'll have to see. Moving on to our Sixers trivia question of the day.
So before you say the question, I want to shout out 2 people out. So obviously the trivia question winner from last week's episode, Michael Rishwan, congrats, you got the right answer. Nolan's Noel. He was drafted in 2013 and he was the number 6 overall pick. Props to you. And I also want to give half credit to Harrison Seppa from the first trivia question. You answered Brett Brown as one of them. He has the most wins as a Sixers coach, but the highest winning percentage is Doc, so I only gave you half credit on that because I didn't know which one you were answering. But congrats to those 2.
So half credit, but the full shout out.
Yeah, but the full shout out.
Okay. not a half shout out. Okay.
Full shout out. Yeah.
So we're going to move on to today's trivia question. I'm actually going to change it up a bit. I think I found a better one. So here's the question. It's another 2-part question. What was Jahlil Okafor's first NBA season, and how many points did he average in that season, which I believe he led the Sixers in scoring that year? You got to be within a point to get it correct. And if you get it right, we'll give you a shout out. Again, the Sixers Standard, no caps, no spaces on Instagram. Make sure to follow us there. We'll make a post about it. You can put the answer down. And on the next episode, if you get it right here, you're going to be shouted out. You're going to be famous. Yep. Quick fame. This is the way you get famous. You get shouted out on the Sixers Standard.
Yes,
best way to get famous.
Yes, sir.
Danny, you agree with that, right? You're already famous. You got 1 million Instagram followers, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, definitely.
You already got some replies from me.
Of course.
We're getting there. We're on our way.
So before we end today, we're gonna just one little thing, I guess, before we end, just what we call the tidbits, last little pieces of news that we don't really have a ton of takes on, but just some interesting things to point out.
Yep.
LeBron James got a new contract. It is a 2-year contract, I believe, in the ballpark of mid 40 millions.
97 million
every year for 2 years. What's interesting about this contract is that by the time it's up, it will be perfectly in time. What a coincidence for him to play with his son Bronny.
Bronny.
And again, he has stated many times that he would like to do that, or
Yep.
he is going to do that.
Yeah,
Before his career ends.
he wants to.
Your guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's pretty remarkable that an NBA father and an NBA son might be playing on the same court together. Like, that's just something like we'd never seen before, and they'll make history for that. But I don't think Bronny, like, I've seen some of the clips he has, like, he's not as good as some of the other kids in this class. But I think it'll be pretty remarkable to see those two play. What are your thoughts?
I don't think anybody's going to care about talent with Bronny. And the fact that you have one of the best players this generation and his son, Bronny's just going to be catapulted because of his father. I mean, don't get me wrong, he probably has some great talent. I'm sure he could be a great player in the NBA, just like his dad was. But I think anybody's just going to want the opportunity. Imagine all those marketing people get a chance to have LeBron, father and son. You just said it. No, he hasn't really seen that a lot in the NBA, if at all. Yeah. You see that in baseball, you might see that in some other sports, but never in the NBA. Never. So I think it's going to be a big opportunity. And you're right. It was obviously what a coincidence that he times it just so he can play with Bronny. LeBron's a smart guy. Guy. That's probably the reason why he went to LA, besides to win championships, but for that business side of it post-career.
And he's like, and also Bronny was getting recruited by like top colleges like Ohio State, Michigan, UCLA, Duke, Kansas, like all those top schools trying to get him. And I heard that his NIL deal is that he could make up to $6 million for NIL, which is like something to do with college.
I think the thing to take into account is that when, during LeBron's last season, when Bronny comes into the NBA, teams will have to take into account how valuable is LeBron James to us during this one season. And the answer might be not very, because if a team is in that position to draft Bronny, they're not going to be very good. They're going to have a high pick. And how much would LeBron at maybe 40? How much would he make a difference for that 1 year he's here? So that's kind of the risk reward thing that decision that teams I think have to make. I think Bronny's position will rise up the draft board because teams, will get LeBron with him in kind of a package deal. But I don't know if it's going to be as valuable as you guys think.
Okay. Yeah.
Just because it's a lottery team. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Can you imagine just like putting all your assets to get Bronny, and then LeBron comes like, actually, I don't want to play with Bronny.
That's only for play with him. I think LeBron's done once he plays as Bronny's done. He's retiring.
Exactly. Lakers are winning a championship this year. I'm gonna stay in LA. Love LA.
Yeah, for real.
So that is it for third episode of the Sixers Standard Podcast. A big thanks to Danny for coming on with us to record this episode.
Great episode. Awesome.
Yeah, for sure. We will be back next week with another episode. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, The Sixers Standard. No caps, no spaces. For Danny, Noah, I'm Ethan. See you guys next week.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Sixers. 10, 9, 8, 76ers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Sixers. 10, 9, 8, 76ers. Clap your hands, everybody, for Philadelphia 76ers.